swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
All right, Crowley, the good news is we're back. It is episode 71 of season number 4. And the Cubs, Crowley, get Cabrera. You're listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe. Most importantly, review the podcast. You want to drop a 5-star review, we'll take that as well. Follow on all the socials. You can check me out at Mully and Haw on X.
And you can follow me at Crawley's Cubs on X, Blue Sky and TikTok, and Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. You can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. And boy, Dustin, you know, we recorded, we put the last podcast out, and then the big splash the Cubs have been waiting for. Finally, it finally happened. And Dustin, it couldn't have come any moment too soon. The Cubs pick up Ryan Rollison, relief pitcher from the Rockies. In all seriousness, the Cubs did make their first waiver wire claim on Wednesday, picked up Rollinson, a mediocre guy from a bullpen, but we'll see if getting out of Colorado helps. But that's not why we're here, Dustin. That is not why we are here.
That's not why we're having a special Fly the W edition podcast? No, that's not the reason.
No, for Ryan Rollison? No, not exactly. We are for talking about this trade, the big one that finally happens. The Cubs receive right-handed pitcher Edward Cabrera. The Miami Marlins, the Fish, get outfielder Owen Casey, the Cubs' number 1 prospect. Infielder Christian Hernandez, the Cubs' number 11 prospect. And then another lower prospect, third baseman Edgardo De Leon. But wow, Dustin, exciting. I know that the Yankees were really kicking the tires on Cabrera, and you didn't know if Jed could get it done, and he did. And this was exciting, right?
It's very exciting. Very exciting. Don't want to, tamper it at all. There are a couple concerns that I have and a couple questions that I have, but I think this is the type of player that you need if you want to advance from where you were last year. But you still need a bat. My first question is, could this deal have been made last year at the trade deadline? And could they have had Cabrera for Owen Casey last season and used him against the Brewers? Would that have been a possibility? Because Owen Casey didn't get a whole lot of at-bats that I remember in the postseason, Crowley. Do you remember Owen Casey getting
a lot of at-bats in the regular season? I think that was a big complaint that Cub fans had is when Kyle Tucker was injured, but Jesse Rogers was on MLB Network and he was talking about that very thing, Dustin. Let's listen to what Jesse had to say.
Well, they wanted him in 2025. They went after him early last offseason. Didn't get done. They tried to pivot to Jesus Luzardo. That didn't work out. So here we are a year later. Remember, they kind of ran out of gas on the mound in the postseason. They passed up Shota Imanaga for Game 5 against the Brewers in the division series. Matthew Boyd was a little bit gassed. I mean, they ran out of arms, so they needed to bolster them. Justin Steele is coming back from an elbow injury. They needed to bolster that starting rotation, and they do that with Edward Cabrera, just a live arm, great secondary stuff. 150 strikeouts in 137 innings pitched. Not, a lot of strikeouts in the Cubs rotation as constituted. So Cabrera adds something that they maybe don't have necessarily, but they do now. Jamison Tyon's there, Shota there, Cade Horton, emerging young players. So that staff is looking better and better. That rotation is looking better and better. And it's pretty clear they pivoted from some high-priced free agent starters to a guy like Cabrera, who's probably going to make a couple million next year, or a little bit more than that after making 1.95 last year. So it's a cheaper option. He's under control for 3 years, and now their starting staff looks like something that's deep enough to go 6 or even 7 months into the postseason, like they did a little bit last year, playing into the second round.
So, to answer your question, the Cubs have been on Edwin Cabrera. Jesse mentioned at the beginning of 2025. Mm-hmm. I remember him being mentioned in the trade deadline at 2025. And again, we don't know what was offered, and it takes two to tango. And
Absolutely. I just wonder, they like what happened between July of last year and January 7th, yesterday of this year, to get them to decide, okay, you know what, we're going to be okay with moving Owen Casey. That's what I'm wondering. What happened? Did Craig Counsell say, listen, I am not here to watch Owen Casey take 150 at bats in right field next year. That's not why I came here. Is that what's going on here?
So, Dustin, I'm going to start spitballing a little bit here. And here's the thing. A lot of people sit there and they get excited about prospects. I'm just as guilty as the next person. I love Owen Casey. I think he's a great kid. I want obviously nothing but the best for him other than when he's playing the Cubs. This is a picture of me and Owen when he was in South Bend. Could not be a nicer kid. And I watched him grow up, but understand that this is a front of the line type of arm.
Oh, listen, no. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Listen, I love it, Crawley. I'm talking about the move. Like, could the Cubs have traded him for a frontline starter, in July? That's where I'm going with this whole thing.
So let me go a couple things. Number one, I think that there's something with Owen that they don't necessarily like, because I will tell you that Owen was about traded last year, and Jesse brought it up. The deal was for last year, Jesus Luzardo for Owen Casey. Okay. Right. And the medicals did not go through. Now Marlins,
medical issue. Yes, correct. Medical issue.
And the Marlins. So here's the thing. They were willing to trade him last year. They didn't show him a lot he got very limited at bats in the MLB level last year in 2025. And so maybe they were kind of trying to hide something. Do you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Kind of trying to mask.
He's got a big swing, right? I mean, I'm not a swing coach, but he does have that big loopy type of swing that can obviously, when you make contact, can make the ball go really far, but when you don't make contact, can make you look like a big old swing and miss, right?
Right. And again, we saw what happened with Christopher Morel. We were all excited about that. What about Matt Mervis? You remember the MASH Mervis, all that?
Oh, yeah.
How did that go? I mean, it's hard to make it to the big leagues. Now, Cabrera turns 28 in April. He's an electric righty, 8-7 for the Marlins with a 3.53 ERA and 26 starts and 137 2/3 innings pitched. He features a four-seamer, Dustin, at 97 mph, a changeup at 94. His changeup is faster than most of the Cubs pitchers' fastballs on the roster.
They said that it might be one of the best changeups out there, right? It might be one of the best changeups in baseball.
100%. I 100% agree with that. And it is an absolutely filthy pitch. And again, when you're talking about what he features and what he does, it really is otherworldly kind of stuff. This is kind of where he's looking. He's just got amazing breaking run value on those breaking balls. He's got a couple that he's got the changeup, the curveball, the sinker, the slider. So he's got a lot of movement on his off-speed pitches. He's got high fastball velocity, a lot of chase, a lot of whiff, a lot of Ks, and also he induces a lot of ground balls. Okay, this is a frontline starter right here. This is what we've been asking for. Now, what's the issue? Why would the Marlins get rid of this guy? And that's his injury history. It is, Dustin, a mile long. In 2022, right ankle sprain and a bicep issue. He had shoulder injuries that sent him on the IL in 2023 and twice in 2024. He had an elbow strain and discomfort in 2025. And throughout his big league career, and I'm sure his baseball career, he's had blistering issues on his finger. So he has a tremendous amount of upside if he is healthy. The reason so many teams, including the Yankees, wanted to is because of that upside. He's cost controlled, and Jesse mentioned it, for the next 3 years.
I think that's something that they just absolutely love, right? That's something that they really, really like.
Right. He doesn't become a free agent till 2029. So this year, he's going to make $3.75 million, roughly. That's the estimate. Okay. That's an estimate. But what's going to end up happening then, Dustin, is when you think about Amai, who we talked about in the last episode, like, oh, we didn't get Amai, that would have cost you $20 million a year compared to 3.75. Okay. And this guy has the stuff. And so this is the big arm that, as Cub fans, we were all looking for. And here's the rotation now. And again, I know people have said, oh, well, he hasn't pitched more than 100 innings. First off, one year he pitched 99 innings. So let's not get technical on it. Number two, when was the last time Matthew Boyd threw over 100 innings? We talked about it. 2019, Dustin. 2019. How did that work out for you last year?
Right.
So you have to kind of take a look at those things and say to yourself, okay, here is the projected rotation according to Fox Sports. Here, Matt Boyd, Edward Cabrera, he's a righty, like we said. You got Cade Horton, you have Shota Imanaga, you have Jamison Tyone. That's your 5 right there. Okay, that is a pretty deep 5, and that doesn't include other guys that are on the Cubs roster that
like Justin Steele, right? I mean, we don't even have Justin Steele in there.
Right. What happens when Justin Steele gets here? Okay, now with Shota Imanaga and the qualifying offer and all that funniness, you can't trade him until a certain deadline, but it's right around the deadline when we expect Justin Steele to get back. So that doesn't include Ben Brown. That doesn't include Javier Assad. I mean, they have arms. And so I talked about this last year a little bit with my concern with Boyd and Horton and all these stuff, the amount of innings these guys have thrown. Like, I wouldn't mind, at a certain point in time, depending on development and seeing what guys do, seeing if you can go with the 6-man rotation and try to take some of the wear and tear off these guys.
Yep. Or the old opener kind of middle long relief guy kind of type of thing.
Right. There's a lot of options that you have here that you can do. Again, so you can go with these 5 and then some sort of split when Steele gets back. And that could be your 6-man rotation. And then Steele's, he's not going to come in throwing 100 pitches right away. And so you can have Javier Assad or Ben Brown or somebody jump in right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think, when you have a lefty like Steele, you could have a different look and go with Javier Assad as a righty. And then take Ben Brown and put him in the bullpen. And if God forbid you needed him, you could start to, put Ben Brown in the minors and get him stretched out. I still believe in Ben Brown, but this is a rotation, Dustin, that is as good as they come. It's just a question of those 3 guys at the top, and you can throw Justin Steele in that mix, all injury issues. That's the thing that you get me worried about. When you talk about Edward Cabrera, I mean, he reminds me a lot of Kerry Wood, right? Fastball, all sorts of wicked breaking stuff, but a guy that just whatever. Didn't Kerry Wood injure himself slipping out of the hot tub?
Right. And Lance Brozdowski from Marquee is saying that he's surprised, or hearing others are surprised, that this medical actually went through.
Yeah, because there was something on his shoulder.
They're talking about a knee, a UCL in the knee.
Hey, if the medicals go through, that's all I can say. I mean, honestly, I'm going to reveal it now. That was my CubsCon question before this even started was, about the medical staff. I don't have a lot of confidence in them. I'm going to say that, Dustin. I'm not trying to be mean. That's just kind of the way I feel right now.
You don't have, you're not confident in the Cubs medical staff, Crawley?
They said Jesus Luzardo was no good last year. And how did that turn out? Seemed to be fine with me. Kyle Tucker didn't seem to want to deal with the Cubs training staff. He went to Miami to go with the people he used to work with. I remember the issues we had with Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner, and there's always something. I don't have a lot of confidence in their medical staff, and I might be wrong, and I don't mean to be insulting anybody in there. It's just not an area of confidence. Maybe the Cubs have more than I do. I don't know. But Dustin, the question now is that the Cubs, again, by not signing a free agent premier starter, now have some more money to play with. And that question then leads to where do they go next? And Bruce Levine was on the score earlier this afternoon with Rahimi and Harris and Grody. And here is what Bruce had to say about that.
Short at least one hitter. I mean, I think they know it better than anyone else. When you lose a guy like Tucker, that's a significant amount of the offense that you had to get yourself that big lead that allowed you to be in the playoffs last year. They know it better than anyone else. And obviously, if Casey's in this deal, he's not part of what they're counting on. So, is Ballesteros as a DH, is that going to bring you enough offense for this team, or are they going to make a big addition? I think they have to make a big addition along the way. We just don't know what that player might be.
So that's the thing right there, Dustin, is that now you have that money, and everybody knows it doesn't take Bruce Levine, MLB insider, Doesn't take a genius like that to figure out that the Cubs need a bat. Okay,
yep, they need a bat. They definitely need to upgrade that outfield. It's still not quite there. I mean, I liked what Seiya Suzuki did last year in right field, but I don't think that he does that for 150 games out there.
I will say that right field is really, really hard to play at Wrigley. I've talked to Andre Dawson actually about this before when I've interviewed him, and it is a really, really hard thing to do. Okay. And so I think that it made Seiya look worse than he really was. And he had a couple of very key errors. Everyone remembers that one in Atlanta. But again, I don't know. Right now you're looking at Seiya in right. You're looking at Mo Baller, Moises Ballesteros, and I hope they really give this kid a chance here. I really think he's something special as a DH. I have no problem like that. They brought the kid in from the former Yankee prospect who was out in Japan to kind of maybe take some of those right-handed at bats. So that's something to kind of watch as well. But there are,
I'm saying if there's an injury right now, if there's an injury to that outfield, where do you turn?
Right now, you'd have to say Kevin Alcantara, and that would probably,
and that doesn't do much for me. That doesn't move the needle for me.
Doesn't move the needle for you. And so there are a couple of different things that you're taking a look at, right? And the question is what's still out there? So now we got our pitcher. I think the starting rotation is set. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I would think that's fair to say. Mm-hmm.
So we got starting rotation. I think the bullpen is a piece or two away, but I don't think it is a crazy move. I don't think it's going to be a huge move. I think it's going to be one of those Jet classic under the radar moves. The Ryan Ronson that we just brought up in the beginning of the show. You know what I mean? Maybe it's someone like that who's a non-roster invitee like Brad Keller last year. But this was from an earlier article from ESPN magazine that was talking about updated free agent contract projections. And all four of these guys, Dustin, have been mentioned somehow connected to the Cubs. Now, that's not to say this has gone down since then. This is what the agents want. This is what the projection is roughly. Agents probably want a little bit more. Teams want to pay a little bit less. Bo Bichette, 5 years, $150. Alec Bregman, 5 years, $170 million. Cody Bellinger, 6 years, $180 million. Kyle Tucker, 11 years, $418. Now, we know the Cubs aren't going there. And I don't know if Tucker would want to do one of those short-term opt-out type deals.
Yeah, he may not want to, but it's sounding like that might be his only option at this point. I don't see that $400 million plus contract out there for him.
I do not think so as well. But here is also some Bruce about Bellinger or Tucker.
Maybe Bellinger is waiting for Tucker to sign, vice versa. I mean, they're similar players. Some people feel Tucker's going to get more, but Bellinger's coming off of an awesome year with the New York Yankees, proving if you can do it in New York, you can do it anywhere, right? So that was a huge year that he had for the Yankees. They want him back. It just depends what type of contract him and Scott Boras want. Is it a 5, 6, 7 year deal? Are the Cubs interested in bringing back Bellinger? Certainly, they traded him once. They signed him once. They traded him once. I think they'd be open to bringing him back again.
And so to me, Dustin, I look at this right now and just say to yourself, they actually signed him twice, right? This would be a third time that they would sign him. And so I'm looking at this right here. And when you're telling me 6 years at 180 versus Tucker, 11 years at 418, boy, that's a lot of years and that's a lot of dough. Ramey is
pretty easy math, right? Pretty easy math.
Right. So 6 years at 180 million, though, that's a lot of cheddar. And again, are the Cubs willing to defer some of this money, which I don't think they are?
I don't think they're willing to defer, especially with the unknown labor situation.
So they really wanted Alec Bregman, and the rumors now all of a sudden are kicking in. It's between Cubs and Boston. I mean, do you have a guy from this list, looking at this list right now, these numbers, these years, where would you feel most comfortable? I know it's not our money and stuff like that, but if you honestly, let's be honest, this isn't Steve Cohen running the Cubs. If you had to take a choice from those four guys, and money is an issue, let's not say this. And our good friend Steve Scher is on. He's saying that Bo Bichette possibly to the Phillies. It was reported earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, he's got a meeting. He's got a meeting with them. It's a good pickup. Yep. Mm-hmm. There is that. That news is out there. Yep.
And that news is out there, but that could be, you're trying to play these teams against each other. But all
Absolutely.
things equal, Dustin,
Based on what I'm seeing right here, it would be Bellinger, because he's got the versatility to play two outfield, probably all three outfield spots if you needed him to, and first base, and can DH. See, my trouble is you bring in Bichette, and I think that signals the end of Nico Horner. And I don't want that to be the end of Nico Horner.
Okay, fair enough.
Where would you go? I'm saying based on what you just showed us, I'm going with Bellinger. Where's Crowley going?
It's hard. You bring up a really
Well,
good
I didn't
point.
say it was easy.
Right. You bring up a good point about bringing up the different positions and that being value. Remember, Ian Happ is gone after 2026. I don't know if they're going to extend him there.
Right.
You know, so you may have two outfield spots open that you could put Cody in either one of those, wherever you think he'd be better. We know the chemistry with Cody Bellinger is great with the team. You know, PCA loves him. You know, Dansby Swanson demanded him last Cubs convention, right? Or a couple of years ago.
Right.
So that was 2 years ago, 2024 Cub convention. So I really feel that there's good chemistry. Obviously Alex Bregman, you know, he's one of those leader types. Can you ever have too many guys like Alex Bregman? And when I talk,
no, I just don't. I mean, I like the Bregman. It doesn't sound like Bregman really wants to come here. I can't get a read on him. I can't get a read on him. And the other thing with Bregman is I feel like he then stunts Matt Shaw's development. That's just like now you're looking to trade Matt Shaw, and you're not going to get what you should get for Matt Shaw because everybody's
unless you want to trade Nico.
I don't want to trade Nico. Do you want to trade Nico?
Do I want to trade Nico? I don't necessarily want to trade Nico, but so Jed's job.
I know you run out of spots.
Right.
That's why I like Bellinger. I guess that's why I like Bellinger the best, because he's got the most versatility, Crawley.
So here's what I'm going to tell you. I love Nico Horner. I would love to see him retire a Cub, but okay, let's not put on the fan hat. Let's kind of just talk. If you're a guy, say, if you're in charge of the team and your job depends on this, right? If you talk about Nico Horner, his contract ends and at the end of the season, right? And so right now, I'm taking a look. He is 28 years old. Okay, he's 28. He turns 29 on May 13th. Do you want to give him another contract after that? And we don't know what 2027 holds. You want to give him another 3-4 year deal, taking him to age 34, 35 season?
I'm okay with it personally.
You're okay with it. Do you think his value will ever be higher than it is right now?
It could be after this year. I mean, he does a great job hitting with runners in scoring position. I don't have to tell you that. And you know that's something, that on this podcast we have been banging for quite some time, Crowley, that this team is just horrific at that stat. You know, runners in scoring position, we do that like at nauseum, that stat.
I think Megan here, McGraw, agrees with you that she is 100% yes. Sign Nico Horner to the extension. I think a lot of people are feeling that way. I'm just saying.
I mean, I know age slug is not what everybody wants it to be, right? That is that the biggest issue. His slug is value. Did he hit a home run last year? Did he hit a home run?
Yeah, he hit a couple, but I would say I don't worry about.
You know what I mean? I was being facetious, but you know,
right. I don't worry about the slug as much. I like the runners in scoring position. I like how he's clutch. I like Gold Glove defense. To me, he was the best hitter on the team if you talk about from beginning to end through the entirety of the year. Now, the first half, you could make the argument it was Seiya, it was PCA, it was Kyle Tucker. When you talk about the second half, you can make some arguments on other players, but to me, most consistent day in and day out, the guy I would want up more than anybody, it was Nico Horner. I just don't know if 2027 is a lost year. I don't know how Nico is going to age. You have a guy in Matt Shaw that you believe is the future, right? You took him as a number 1 draft pick. Mm-hmm. He played incredible third base. I don't know what he can do at second base as much as I do third, but second base is supposed to be his better position. So you can sit there with Matt Shaw. You have like 6 more years of control of him, 5 or 6 more years of control. You're not going to have to pay him anything.
Yep. You got a ton of time with him. No doubt.
So it's something you have to entertain. It's not something you have to enjoy. And us as fans, we love players. Nico is great. I'm just saying either way, it's a possibility. So Dustin,
Oh, it's a pot. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. It's total pot. But again, it also leads into why I'm going where I'm going with Bellinger. That's why I like Bellinger.
So Bellinger is good for this year and beyond, I believe, right? This year and beyond, because we've talked about the amount of guys that are no longer under contract after the 2026 season, including Nico, including Ian Happ, including Jamison Tyone, including Shota. I mean, the list goes on and on about guys that will not be here after 2026. So I don't, Nico being one of those guys, I feel like you have the replacement right here on the team. Alex Bregman, by every stretch of the imagination, Boston wants him back badly. Houston sung his praises. This is a guy that people love and say is a difference maker. Kyle Tucker said it himself when he came over here. Mm-hmm. I think that he is a phenomenal guy. It might be the right chemistry when you talk about that clubhouse of having guys like Kyle or Alec Bregman and having Dansby Swanson and some of those veterans on there that to me and Cody Bellinger, guys that have postseason experience that are really, really good. The only thing you worry about with some of these guys is, again, age. These are guys that are going to be, whether you're talking about Bregman or Bellinger or Nico, what we were talking about, you wonder about age and how they're going to age and how they're going to look at the end of the contract. But what you're hoping for is that you you have the team now. You're paying for the now.
Yep.
And I think
I agree. That makes sense. Yeah.
And you're going to eat a little bit of it on the back end. And so the Cubs have to make a move. I think we have 3.5 options. I'm going to put Kyle Tucker as a half option. I think we got 3.5 options here between Bichette, between Bregman, and between Cody Bellinger. And again, Bichette's cheaper and less years. Belly is 6 years, $180 million. There's also the Scott Boras factor, right? And at the end of the day,
it's a real thing, Crawley. It's a real thing.
At the end of the day, it is the players that are going to have to make the decision. And I don't know, 6 years, $180 million, and you have to pay taxes and you have to pay agents and you have to pay lawyers and you got to do this, that, and the other. It has to last you the rest of your life. But boy, if Bellinger really wants to play in Chicago and he knows what he likes and he knows the teammates, right now, to me, I feel like if you could get him 5 years, 175, I think I'd be more apt to do that.
Okay, 5 years, 175. Okay, listen, fine with me. Fine with me.
And so if not, then you go Bichette. You'd have to probably trade Nico, and I would probably keep Matt Shaw at third, to be honest with you.
Okay,
that's how I would look at that. So these are options that we're looking at.
I'm kind of down. The Bregman thing doesn't. I mean, listen, if our next podcast, Crawley, we're talking about Alex Bregman's a Cub, I'm not going to be mad about it. It's just not where my head's at right this second.
Well, that's the thing. We're going to keep it positive. We're going to see what happens. And look, I think if they get any of those 3.5 guys that we talked about, I think Cub fans would be happy and have every reason to be excited for a deeper postseason run next year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think this pitching staff, though, Crawley, that we're looking at, this is a pitching staff that can win you that division. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
And again, having, the pitching staff did really good last year, despite all the injuries. I think this is even a deeper, better pitching staff. You just pray for health with some of these guys. And I think that's really going to be the situation. And Steve is asking about, do we really want Bellinger till he's 36? This is the issues that we're going to have to deal with.
Listen, that's a great point. It's a great question, but working off of the list that we were working off of, I think the answer to that question is yes.
Right. And when you talk about Alex Bregman, you're talking about the same thing. He's 31. So if you're giving him 5 to 6 years, you're talking about 36, 37. There's always going to be a flaw in one of these guys here. You're going to find a flaw. I would say more than anything, there's that. But taking a look at Bo Bichette, he's 27. So he's the youngest of them all.
Right. But now Bichette,
Tucker,
Bichette, you could use at DH, right? You can use Bichette at third, short, second, but he's not as good of a defender as the Cubs are used to. He's just kind of a guy, if you will.
He's about an average at best.
Right, at best. So that's not what the Cubs are into. And again, I mean, imagine Cabrera's stats with this defense behind him, right? Think about that.
Yeah.
That's another aspect of this whole thing. So there's a lot. There is a lot going on here, Crawley. All right, that's a wrap. We got the CubsCon coming up any minute, Crawley, right? You're packing your bags. You're getting a little extra rest right now. So we'll get early, hopefully, next week. We'll do a quick CubsCon conversation with Crawley. You'll be able to follow him on all his social medias. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to that Fly the W podcast. 5-star reviews. We'll take it. You can email us, Crawley's Clubhouse at gmail.com, Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Don't forget, you can watch us, as some of you are, on the Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. So don't forget to check us out there. And of course, this is the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network.
Yes, and thank you for everybody that chimed in. Steve, as always, we had Tony Toppin coming in, Megan McGraw, we had Everett, we had a lot of people on, so they're excited. We're excited, and we're going to be here helping you out as long as this goes, getting ready for all the Cubs news and CubsCon. Go Cubs!
It's all over.